Okay, good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to this next episode of FPL Family with me, Lee, and this is Sam, and a very, very happy FPL Family household this evening. Home win for Liverpool, back-to-back wins for Spurs. I mean, hello? Are Spurs back? Is this a thing now? What's going on?
I'm so happy. I can't tell you how happy I am. A home win as well. Not just back-to-back wins. A home win.
First home win since, what, November 10th?
3 massive points at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today.
Players coming back. Vicario coming back.
Wasn't he great?
And yeah, he was good. There's one particular save, I think, at the beginning of the second half, maybe, where he went down low to his right from maybe Garnacho. Important save. Important save. But listen, we will talk, as usual, guys, about all of the games that we've just seen over the course of the weekend. We'll talk about a particularly good game week for you. We'll talk about a damage limitation exercise on my part. And I want to start with that because we weren't here last week, right? I was away last week. So we didn't really have the opportunity to talk about the first week of the assistant manager chip. Here we are in the second week, for you at least, and many FPL managers. I'm sure many of you have got the assistant manager chip active right now. We're now partway through the second chapter, if you want to call it, of the assistant manager chip. What are we thinking? We liking it? We want to see it again next season? What do you think?
I'm enjoying it. I can't decide whether I'm enjoying it. So when I originally played it, have we live streamed since I originally played it?
Not sure, because we weren't here last Sunday, were we?
So because you were away. Maybe I haven't. I can't remember. But when I originally played it, I was really stressed about that because it all happened so fast.
George says we have. George knows more about what we talk about in here.
Well, George hears about us on multiple different platforms in Ohana and everything else. But when I first played it, I was really stressed by it because I didn't have the time to plan that stuff out. Coming then, once it was played and game week 24 started, I was like, okay, I feel like now I'm in it. I sort of understand what I'm doing. I've got a strategy. It went quite well, obviously, at the beginning. We talked about this. It went quite well at the beginning with the game against Leicester for Moyes, obviously picking up the points there.
You played Moyes in 24 and you've got Emery currently active for 25, haven't you? The current game week, yeah.
So, so what's quite frustrating for me, anyway, is that I think, and it's maybe a learning point for people like you that haven't yet played the assistant manager chip.
Yeah, tell me. I'm willing to learn, definitely.
Because, obviously, I played it this time around to target the double-double.
Yep.
So I played it on Moyes. Great. It went really well. The first game week, I got, obviously, the table bonus benefit came in that second game, so that was fantastic. Heading into this weekend, I was like, okay, and I said this with Az on the Q&A, I felt like I was trapped, really, with having to go for Emery, because the reason that I brought the chip forward was specifically to target the double-double.
Yeah.
So I felt like, okay, well, now I've got no other choice because I'm not selling a Liverpool asset. So the only person I've got is Emery.
And good job he didn't, because I dare say that Liverpool asset you might have sold might have been Mr. Diaz.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wasn't prepared to sell him.
Yeah.
And thank gosh. But my point is that because I'd gone with the mindset of I'm playing it on 2 doubling managers, it meant I was forced down the Emery track.
Yeah.
And I said with Az on the Thursday Q&A, I really fancied Hertzler, and I was like, I just really feel like Brighton might do Chelsea over.
But you're not going against the double, are you?
But I can't go against the doubler because that's why I've played it now. And it's quite... So I feel... I'm fine with Emery. Obviously, I was hoping that he was going to get the win against Ipswich, but he's got 4 points coming out of that. He's got the second game to go against Liverpool where... Sorry, darling. But if he picks up something, then obviously I'm going to get the table bonus again.
All these assistant manager chip players backing against Liverpool with
I know.
Moyes and Emery. I'm not feeling it, I'll be honest.
I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy it, the Moyesy stuff, last Wednesday night because obviously of you. But... I do feel a little bit frustrated by that because I really did fancy Hertzler and I just couldn't go off. I felt like I was stuck to my, and I think that if you haven't played your assistant manager chip yet, I think that is something to be really mindful of, is not getting sucked into the fact that, okay, this manager's got a double and I must therefore go there if you really fancy a single game weeker with the potential for the table bonus. That's when you're going to play it,
though, isn't it? I mean, I've not got it live. And when was it the Newcastle game that got rearranged?
Yes, for 32.
So 32. So that's new since we last spoke to you. So 32, we're going to have, Palace versus Newcastle and a double for both of those teams?
Yes.
So we're now in a position where, again, we will have a double-double. Both 32 will be a double game week for those two teams, and then 33...
Around the FA Cup.
Around the FA Cup will be a double for a bunch of other teams as well. So if you were thinking, oh, maybe I've not played the assistant manager chip and I'm sitting here, I've missed out on 2 back-to-back double game weeks.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. That now feels like the next best time to play it, which is another reason why I didn't activate it this week.
I think you've done the right thing.
Because I'm going to play it in those double-doubles. I can tell you that not having it active, it really limits the fun, right? I can tell you, it's one of them where, because I knew so many managers were playing it in 24, and I know they've still got it active in 25 and again in 26. Almost my mentality going into 24 was, right, and obviously a lot of triple cap. If you played Mo triple captain in 24, congrats. I mean, that's a hell of a haul. And there will be some of you that have played it in 25 as well. So far, that's going pretty well for you with the goal today. Could have had more as well, couldn't he? But, you
I
can't
thought he was
sniff
going to
at
get
the
another
goal.
pen again.
But what I will say is, having not played it, I almost kind of went into sort of defence mode in game week 24. My mindset was, right, the next 3 weeks are going to be red arrows. So let's try and limit the amount of damage that's going to happen. And so far it's proved. I mean, I got over 100 points in game week 24. I got 106. But that's nothing compared to, 139 you got or something? I saw people at work who were getting 126.
And I benched Alanga's 30.
You benched Alanga? Yeah. And it's like, I have not at all enjoyed FPL at all since that happened. This for all of you that are playing it, I'm sure it's great fun, and I'm sure in 32, 33
you'll enjoy it.
I'll have a lot of fun. But trust me when I say, when you get there and the other half of us FPL community are playing it in 32, 33, you'll feel how I feel, this game is shit. It's horrible.
Absolutely, and I totally get that, actually, because I think, the one thing I will say about the assistant managership is it does, for me anyway, I found that I've taken my eye a little bit off my actual team, and I'm focusing on,
of course,
the manager bit, because I'm kind of like, okay, so I had to have a kind of a bit of a word with myself last week, because I was like, well, you do have to get a plan together for 29. I have to work out what my strategy is with the players, and I can't be blindsided, which is why I decided to just stick with my guns. I'd go with Emery, and then going into, so I haven't even thought about, so don't ask me what I'm going to do with it for 26, because I haven't even thought about it yet, because on the basis that I kind of feel like it can become quite all-consuming, because you're also forced to make a decision and stick by it, because if you change it again, it's going to cost you another transfer.
Can't move it around, right? Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing that I was saying to Ash yesterday. We obviously saw him yesterday, and I was saying, actually, had I not done the Emery thing earlier on in the week, and part of the doing it earlier on in the week was that I was going for Hoyson, and he was going up in price, and Hall was dropping in price. So I thought, right, I'm just going to lock this in, and then it's done. And as part of that, I'll do the Emery thing as well, because he can't get injured, so that's just done. Then I don't have to think about it. Had I been able to move it for free again, I think I probably would have moved it on Friday, because I'd got the Hertzler thing in my head by that point. So that's another good learning strategy, and that's something I'm taking with me into game week 26. I'm not going to make a decision on my assistant manager until deadline day, because they can't rise in price, they can't fall in price. So as long as I don't need the budget for anything else.
It's so wild and swinging. I know it's going to be quite divisive, and the one thing that it is causing is a lot of debate in the FPL community, right? So it is getting people talking.
It interesting.
So if that was one of the objectives of the Premier League coming up with this chip, mission accomplished, guys, because here we are sitting, we're 40 minutes in already, and we've talked about nothing but the assistant manager chip. I have to say I don't like it at all, but that's maybe because I'm not playing it.
I wonder if when you play it, if you'll feel the same.
Absolutely. I think it's probably 2 weeks too long. I don't think I would mind an assistant manager chip that came in for 1 week, and then you would, of course, then play it on a double game week, and you'd have a bet on
like Moisey last week.
And then you do that, right? So the 3 week assistant manager chip for me just makes it too much of a mini game within the game. It's not a chip, it's almost like a mini game, and you've almost kind of backed that up by saying, well, I'm playing this mini game in my head and I'm forgetting about my actual 15.
It is.
So
it definitely does feel like a mini game to me. That's how it feels. It feels like I've got two different things I need to be thinking about at the moment.
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of it. But that, like you say, is probably because I'm not playing it. All of you that are playing it, I'm sure you're loving it, particularly if you've hit it correctly. If you had Moyes last week, for example, if you've got Slot this week, he's obviously got the win, etc. So, yeah, well, I will maybe reserve a final judgment on it until I've played it in 32, 33, 34, which looks like where I'm going to play it.
No, not 34. That's a blank. 31, 32,
Sorry,
33.
31, 32, 33, correct, yeah. And I think if I think about my chip strategy, and let's just do this really quickly, because we've got to say hello to people, we're going to talk about the games, our teams, everything. If I think about my chip strategy, I still feel like for the next, what are we on, game week 25, the next, certainly the rest of this week, and then 26, I'm still in defence mode, because there's a lot of AM chips open and available. In 27, 28, 29... I'm going to try and consolidate and try and make some marginal gains because we'll be back to normal, inverted commas, FPL then, with a bit more normality, less doubles and stuff. My then plan will be to wildcard in 30, with a view to then playing the assistant manager chip in 31, 2 and 3. Probably then a free hit in 34. And then somewhere between that and the end of the season, I'll play the bench boost. But I haven't figured that out yet.
36 is the next double.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean,
so wildcard 30 is kind of my strategy at the moment. The things can change, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still think I'm on wildcard 30. I might go wildcard 31, depending upon what my team is, how my team lands coming out of 29. I'm definitely not going to free hit in 29. So the decision that I've
me neither. I'm going to dead end.
Yeah.
I think the Liverpool result swung it, right? The fact that Liverpool are now playing in 29.
I wasn't going to do it even if it was Spurs because Liverpool aren't playing in 29.
Oh, okay, I'm getting confused.
You're blanking because you're playing in the cup final, remember?
Yes, true enough.
So I think whatever happened, I was never going to do it because had it been Spurs and Fulham that blanked, I'd only have lost Robinson. So it was like, well, okay, that's fine, just play through. With Liverpool, because I am okay with sacrificing my Liverpool assets, even though you've rewarded me today. Yeah. Sorry, boys.
Yeah.
Because I'm okay with sacrificing them, I feel like, okay, well, 29 is playable through. Plus, then a wildcard comes fairly quickly on the back of it. Now, I've then got a decision to make about the bench boost in the free hit. Which one goes in 33? Which one do I have bench boost 33? That probably, in my strategy, probably makes a little bit more sense because it keeps it closer to the wildcard. So it puts me in a bit of position moving forward because I'm not going to be saving any money for the assistant manager chip either on wildcard. So that's another thing to navigate. Depending on how the FA Cup pans out, I think there is a genuine possibility that the free hit won't be necessary in 34. And if that happens, then free hit 38 is on. And I am so here for free hit 38.
Just for a bit of fun on the last game.
I love free hit 38.
Yeah. We all have a bit of that. Well, listen, guys, lots to be discussed. It's going to be certainly a few weeks that I think changes the landscape of FPL. The assistant managership definitely has changed the landscape of FPL. I feel, as someone that's not playing it right now, very, very defensive, it's a damage limitation exercise, but I've got to hold my nerve, and I think that's how I feel about it right now. If you're not playing the assistant manager chip, hold your nerve, because our time will come, folks. Our time will come, and that time is probably game week 31 after we've prepared for it with a wildcard in 30, in my case, but we'll see. Let's say hello to a few people, Sam, before we get started on some of the games. We had a new member here on the FPL Family channel, Aaron Curl. Aaron, welcome to the channel. Very nice to see you, mate. Great to have you along. If you've got a question for us, mate, then you can use the chat to ask your question, and it will be highlighted as a member here on the channel, and we will answer it, mate, and we will answer it. As I mentioned before, George is here. Nice to see you. Christopher Warburton. Christopher is in. Nice to see you, mate. He says, look out, Spurs are back. Look out.
Guess who's
Spurs
back?
are back.
I think it's too early.
I think you're right. Zygo is in. He says, Porro points. Porro got the points he did today.
Oh, yeah, Luna Hat played him as well, didn't she? Do you remember she made that last minute spot?
Yes, I think so.
She'll be happy with that.
I think so. Who else have we got? We've got FPL Yellow Army. I bloody hate this chip, he says. Yeah, well,
oh, Roberto.
I'd imagine you're in my camp of not currently having played it, Roberto, but it could be that 31 is, like me, your time to shine, mate. Your time to shine. Malachi Fox, nice to see you, mate. He's in. Paul Cook, Liverpool, luckily. More than a bit of that, Paul. I can
Lee
tell
was
you.
A little bit stressed.
That was probably one of the most stressful games
Do you know,
I've watched this season.
It
was a big win.
I was so glad I'm never glad when you're away. I miss you dearly, as you know. But honestly, last Wednesday night, I've never been more glad that you weren't watching a game, because you would have been so stressed watching that Merseyside derby. It would have really stressed
Having
you.
been away with work, I didn't watch the Merseyside derby. So I was literally just seeing the texts.
You didn't watch the League Cup
Twitter.
either, did you?
Didn't watch the League Cup. Didn't watch the Plymouth game, thankfully.
No? You've missed a lot of Liverpool, actually.
I've missed a lot of Liverpool, no doubt. Missed a lot of Liverpool. But yes, you're right. That Merseyside derby, I think, would have tipped me over the edge, because some of the stuff that was going on at the end there. Oh man,
it would have tipped you over the edge, definitely.
And today,
you were quite close to stress today.
It was stressful. Not gonna lie. Duncan Crawford, nice to see you, mate.
Hey,
He's
Duncan.
in. Adam Stevo is in. Johnny Cairns, nice to see you, Johnny. Who else? Joseph Maloney, nice to see you, mate.
Loads of the patrons in
Films,
tonight.
all the they're always in, Sam.
Yeah, they're always here, aren't they?
And supporting us. You know who you are, you lovely, lovely people. Couple of super chats. One from Joseph. Hey, mate. He says, Hayley and Sam, how's things with you both? Doing all right, mate. Home wins for us both, so we're doing all right. Good result today for LFC. Always good to keep the results ticking over. Assistant manager on Emery at the moment. So, all of you Emery owners looking for an upset against Liverpool during the week.
Isn't Joseph a Liverpool fan?
He is, yeah, he is. So
That's going to be tough.
I'm hoping, Joseph, you are still looking for a Reds win there, and nothing to do with the Emery chip. But yes, it was one of those today where you just got to keep it ticking over, and we just had to bloody win. Doesn't matter how we did it in the end. Just get the win, and we just about did.
Squeaked it.
We squeaked it, no doubt. B is in. Hey, B.
Hey, B.
B just says in big capital letters, Sam, with, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like about 9 exclamation marks over it. The letters COYS.
B.
I always feel like a cuppa every time I tune in live.
Get yourself a cup of tea, B.
That is exactly what we go for here on a Sunday night. We've had the chaos of the football. This is our time to bring it back down, have a cup of tea, laugh if you've had a crap game week, celebrate if you've had a good game week.
I was just talking to B, actually, before we came on.
De-stress.
And I said, and hopefully I'm going to see her in a couple of weeks at the Spurs games.
Well, that would be
That'd be lovely.
Very nice. Kingdom FC is in. If only Chelsea played like Spurs. Sam, oh, goodness me, we'll talk about Chelsea in a minute. In fact, we might even start there.
Chelsea.
Just a quick shout out to Sam, who has done an amazing job on the Ohana Pod solo. That's from George. Thank you, George. Very kind of you. Yes.
I managed to even upload it.
Another thing I missed, and usually, you're right, I'm the one that does the uploading and all the tech stuff, but you figured it out.
I figured it out.
Yeah, fair play.
I got two Ohanas out and published them. It was quite frankly a miracle.
Good effort.
I hope they were useful.
Good effort. So a whole host of you in this evening. Get in the chat. Let us know how you're getting on. Let us know how your assistant manager chip strategy is going. And in particular, who are you already eyeing up for 26? I know you've not thought about it too much yet. I would say Bookie's favourite, probably Glasner at Fulham, because he get a table bonus, I think.
Does he?
With Palace at Fulham, I think. But you guys, let us know who you are thinking. If you've got the assistant manager chip active right now, and you will have in 26.
Does Glasgow get it?
Are you going for? Who are you going for? Let's get into some of these games, Sam. Let me switch to this screen here. Here we go. And we've already had one of the chats mention the Blues, the London Blues. So let's go and talk about Brighton 3, Chelsea 0 on Friday night. Wasn't it the first game of the weekend?
Valentine's Day, wasn't it?
Valentine's Day game at the Amex. Before we do anything, we have to give a massive shout out to Mitoma. What an unbelievable... I mean, the finish was good, but the touch is so beautiful. It comes from... What are you doing?
Mitoma, that's what he was doing. It was like this, looking at the ball coming over. It was incredible.
Okay, podcasters, thank you for that visual aid.
I gave the YouTubers a visual aid. He's like this. And he was running, almost like looking behind him. It was incredible, Techers, to be able to just run like that.
The ball comes over his head and he just controls it and finishes it. There was one, the only one I can compare it to, and sorry for making a Liverpool comparison, but there was one I think where it came over Suarez's head, either against...
God, this is a long time ago.
Norwich or Newcastle, can't remember. It came over his head and he touched it, beat a player and then just dinked it in the corner. But this was even better from Mitoma.
It was unbelievable.
Just so good from Mitoma.
Yeah.
And Minter with a couple of goals as well. Thoughts on the game, and in particular, why don't we start with Chelsea then? Because really quite poor in this game. And one of the things that I've just started to see a little bit creeping into a few different Twitter conversations, and I have to say, I did think about it myself as well. Cole Palmer's bloody expensive. I'm just saying, I'm not thinking about selling him because they got some good fixtures coming up,
So, my 2 pennies worth on Cole Palmer is that about 3 weeks ago, he was one of the most heavily sold players in the game, and I went on pretty much every podcast that I do and said I couldn't understand it, and I wasn't sure why people were doing it, because in the 3 game weeks that he'd had, or in the 5 game weeks he'd had previous, he's had 3 double-digit hauls, and all right, he'd had a couple of bad results, but otherwise, great, and he's still picking up bonus points even when he only gets a return. Fine. Roll forward to now, and I'm in a place with Palmer where, because I've got Salah and Diaz and Trent and Isak and Mateta and who else? And Rodgers. Cole Palmer's so low down on my list of priority problems.
Yeah. Because he's got that game coming up.
Because he's got the fixture again. And all right, it's a horrible fixture against Arsenal in game week 29. But nonetheless, he has got a fixture in game week 29.
And we also shouldn't forget the 2 fixtures that precede that as well. Okay, so away at Villa in 26, who, Villa have got their own fair share of injury problems. We'll see how they get on against Liverpool, right? But for sure, we'll give them a game. That'll be a tough game for them against us, right? It's going to be. And then they've got to go straight from that away to Stamford Bridge at the weekend. So that's not easy in terms of schedule. And then Southampton at home, Leicester City at home. And then, like you say, he's got the game in 29. So and then even Spurs at home in 30. You just can't sell him, can you? You just can't.
On a wild card, I think you can post 29.
Oh, yeah,
but I don't think you can do it now.
Can't
I think right now the priority for most managers, the priority right now is going to be, how do I manage my squad for game week 29? How and when is the right time to de-invest in certain players? Is it best to roll transfers? Is it best to do this? Is it best to do that? That's going to take priority. So when
was the right time for me to get rid of Enzo Fernandez, by the way?
About the day you bought him.
I've lost like $500,000 on that guy. What a joke.
I can't understand why you didn't get rid of him this weekly.
Well, I was going to do him to Wanyeri, wasn't I? As you know.
Yeah, I do know.
Because the problem with Enzo now is he's taken so many price falls that I can't go anywhere.
You can go to Wanyeri, though.
I can't even go to Utara because I haven't got 0.2, 0.3 that I need. So I could only go down and I could only go to Wanyeri. And I might still. Because I've just seen, as I was coming on here, that Enzo's going down in price again tonight.
Oh, shush. So, I can't keep taking price drops with him.
So I don't know what to do with him. I'm thinking... I am thinking Wanyeri, because we'll talk about his performance in just a minute, right? But how
many players have you got blanking in 29?
I don't know. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Well, just because that will make your decision, though, probably, with some of the players you've got
keep
to sell.
Enzo, though, do I? Come on,
well, not really. No one wants to keep Enzo. But the other problem you've got with Chelsea is that, obviously, they got a lot of injury problems. So, Nico Jackson's out. See, Madawaki's got a problem as well, hasn't he? So they're losing a lot of their key assets to injury at the moment. They're going to go through a little bit of a struggle like Spurs have done, like Manchester United are currently dealing with right now. So
I don't have quite so much sympathy for Chelsea. They haven't spent 300 million on players.
I said that to my dad.
Squad.
I said that to my dad the other day. I said, yeah, but it's all right if you get an injury because you've got 4 other players in that position, surely.
It's fine.
And he didn't take the funny side of it, and wasn't really surprised, to be fair. But my point is like, I think that it does affect Palmer. He's less effective when, like, say what you want about Nico Jackson, but Palmer is less effective in Nkunku.
Jackson, as Adam Stevo saying exactly the right thing in the chat, Jackson is a big miss. Say what you want about Jackson, right?
Yeah.
And you would say something that includes the words big and miss, I'm pretty sure. But the way that he plays in that team and the way that he complements the system, the Maresca system, is key.
It is.
And you take him out of that and you put Nkunku in there, who is obviously a good finisher.
Yeah.
But is a service striker.
Yeah.
And plays on the shoulder of the last man. Doesn't come deep and hold ball up and get the wingers involved or anything like that. He wants it on the floor, through the middle, and I want to run onto it, please, and score against the high line. Well, that ain't working.
No.
It ain't working. And it's affecting Palmer, you're right.
And I think their patterns of possession and the way they passed the ball on Friday evening was dreadful.
Yeah.
It was very, very
easy. I couldn't...
It was all sideways balls, very easy to read. None of this should, by the way, take away from the Brighton performance. This is just a comment on Chelsea. They were predictable in what they were trying to do. Now, the fixtures that they have coming up in the next 3 weeks, ahead of the game week 29 game against Arsenal, are teams that they should be beating. So I don't think you're getting rid of any of your Chelsea apart from Enzo.
Tobo Pat is in the chat saying Palmer is a hard sell. He can't be, mate. He can't be. You can't ahead of these. You can't. Villa
Not when
away,
I think you're going to need him.
Southampton and Leicester at home, and then you need him for 29 probably, unless you're free hitting. You can't sell Palmer.
Even if I was free hitting in 29, I wouldn't sell Palmer ahead of those fixtures he's got coming up.
Southampton and Leicester at home. You can't do it, Tobo. You can't do it, mate. I have to say.
And Villa, to be fair. Villa are leaky.
Yeah. But Brighton, you're right. Really, really good performance. For anyone that's still got João Pedro, not really seeing a lot from him. He didn't come on and do a lot, did he?
He's another one, though, Lee, that I don't... Again, unless you're free hitting in 29, you're probably not going to do a lot about João Pedro because he's got a fixture.
Yeah, you're probably going to.
We're all in that position where there's going to be players that you think, I don't really want you, but you can't really fix it because you can't fix it.
All right. Shout out to our lad Max and anybody else that had Verbruggen in goal this week with a clean sheet, some save points, and an assist. Absolute joke. What did he get? Like 12 points or something?
Max was living his best life, wasn't he? We sent him to bed at half time. He came down the next morning and I was like, Max, your goalkeeper got an assist, a clean sheet and bonus points. He was like, what?
He was like, goalkeepers don't get assists. We're like, well, he has.
Now he has.
He has.
He had Luis Diaz as well. He's had a great
Did
week.
he really?
I think so, yeah.
Bloody hell. Right, let's talk. Let's dot around these games, Sam. I want to talk about the man on the thumbnail, and I think
the Egyptian king?
Well, I think you can start calling him at least the Egyptian prince. You can't call him the Egyptian king.
It was so funny yesterday. We had Az and Yelena over yesterday for the day, and the three of us just kept calling Marmoush the Egyptian king, and Lee was getting so cross. He was like, "You can't call him that."
Look out for Yelena's blog this week. Her vlog. If you go to Yelena FPL on YouTube and search that after we're done here tonight, hit subscribe on Yelena's channel. We feature in this game week's vlog, and it is mostly you lot taking the piss out of me for Marmoush being the new Egyptian king, but also the rest of us, including our lad, taking the piss out of Az for not having Chris Wood.
Max ripping it out of Az was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And every time we got to dig at him, he just had another go at him, didn't he? Something about Chris Wood was said every single time Max spoke to Az. It was honestly
the Chris
priceless.
Wood guy. Oh, well, like, listen, we'll save it. But I've never seen Az more upset than when he saw that goal going on Match of the Day, because it took a massive deflection, didn't it? He was just like, oh, he's done nothing. He absolutely done nothing. And we're all sitting there going, that's what Chris Wood does. He does nothing and gets points.
That's what Chris Wood does.
How has he got free bonus? Free bonus would have done anything. That's the game, Az.
Just buy Chris Wood.
That's how he does it.
Just get Wood.
I got a massive deflection on that. Can't believe it. I said, 9 points, Az.
Gets Wood. He just needs to get Wood in his life. That's all it is.
Anyway,
we love you, Az.
Chris Wood. We love you, mate. Man City 4, Newcastle 0. No Joe Linton for Newcastle. And if I remember, and this is a bit anecdotal, I've got no stats to back this up. Shock for me. Middle of last season, didn't Joe Linton have a bit of a knock or was suspended for a while? And they really struggled, Newcastle, and they do miss his presence in there. I'm taking nothing away from Man City. Marmoush was very good. I thought the finishing was excellent. But Newcastle looked a little bit... Have they got the one eye on the cup, do you think? What do you think? What do you make of this performance?
I don't know. I must admit I was surprised by this result. I wasn't expecting...
City are improving.
Recently, they have improved recently, and I think they spent a lot of money in January and they've strengthened the team. But defensively, they've been all at sea. So for them to keep a clean sheet against a Newcastle side that have been really good in attack, I was surprised at. And I do think what you've said makes sense. Like losing a key player from your attacking play, like Joe Linton, is gonna have an impact.
It's that midfield three, isn't it? Him and Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah.
They just work so well when you take one of them out, and it makes a difference.
And I think, Anthony Gordon hadn't been all that great, had he, in the build-up. He was a doubt. I know he makes it, but you're never really sure how they're going to play when they've had a bit of a worry, I guess.
Yeah.
So it came a bit of I don't know if I was surprised that Man City won the game, but I was surprised that they won it in the way that they did. Just
before we move to Man City, then Newcastle, we've got to start thinking now, I think, for those that are playing or not going to play the free hit in 29 and are kind of doing that, and I hate this phrase, but I'm going to use it anyway, the kind of dead ending into 29.
Yeah.
We have to now start thinking about selling the Gordons and the Halls and maybe the Isaks, I don't know, although I've got a lot of value tied up in Isak, so I'm a bit reluctant to sell him.
I sold Lewis Hall this week.
Yeah, I can see why you do that.
I sold Lewis Hall this week because...
Who did you get?
I got Huijsen at Bournemouth.
Bournemouth defender, okay, fair play.
I needed I wanted Kirkes, but I needed the extra money for Emery.
Fair,
so
okay, fair.
That's why I did that. And and I've got a bubble in my contact lens and it keeps floating across my
Sort it
vision
out.
and I can't. It's driving me actually insane. So if I keep
It's got a
playing
bit
with
red. Is he all right?
it's because I keep moving the contact lens because it's sitting right over my lens. I can't see.
Give it a couple of blinks, like a bit of that.
I mean, that's great. Thank you.
That's my official.
I don't know whether to take it
opinion.
out. Anyway, I'll leave it for a minute. What did you ask me about? So I did that. Yeah, so I told Lewis Hall.
Yeah. Newcastle assets in general, though, are sell now.
Well, yes, apart from Isak, because obviously coming out of the blank in 29, we're fairly quickly into the double in 32. So for most Newcastle assets, I think you can afford to sell them. I lost 0.2 in Lewis Hall because he took a price drop just after I sold him. So I actually lost 0.3, but then now it's only 0.2. With Isak, I stand to lose substantially more in team value.
This is the problem, and you're going to want him back. I mean,
you're going to have
from
to have
30,
him
he'd be on your wild card, wouldn't he, with Brentford, Leicester, and then a double game week.
You
so
have
you've just
to
got
have
to
him
bench
for the double.
him, I think,
So
for 29.
yeah, he and Salah for me are the ones that the team where my money is invested. So even like I love Mateta at the moment, but even he'll get sold. I have no value in him because no one else is buying him because he's not going to play in 29. So he's proving to be a wonderful differential and he's not going up in price. So it means I can enjoy him.
That as well. That's the worst thing about it. Is I called, I sat here 3 weeks ago and I said, you're going to really enjoy Mateta in the next few weeks because no one's going to get him because he blanks.
Yeah.
And everyone wants him.
Yeah.
But everyone's gone for Gakpo instead, or they've gone for Chris Wood or whatever. And it's such a good differential. I was so annoyed when you got Mateta and I couldn't find a way to get him.
Yeah, I'm loving him. In fact, I called Tell my new favourite Frenchman on Instagram earlier, but actually I think
Spurs is new lad.
Yeah. But actually I think that Mateta is probably my favourite Frenchman.
He is this week,
He is just, and last week, he braced for me last week.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the rambling of all of that is that I can sell Mateta because I don't have any value in him. He's still the same price as when I bought him. Luis Diaz, I feel I can sacrifice because you're not going to have any more doubles. Trent, to be honest, I'd sell.
But Newcastle, you're going to sell except Isak.
But Isak, I think you hold. Okay. Everyone else, I think you can sell.
And then Manchester City then, a little bit of an uptick in form. 88 on the underlying BPS for Omar Marmoush, the new Egyptian prince stroke king. What did you make of his performance? And in particular, his connection that he seems to already have with Erling Haaland. There's definitely something there, isn't there? The way that he's running off of him and the way that Haaland's kind of using his strength to hold the ball up. They've now got that player, and I think Arteta said it afterwards, right? They've got that player bursting through the middle. Sorry, Pep said it in his post-match conference about now we have a runner beyond. Now we have a runner that can go in behind. And he's going to be a weapon for them, I think, Marmoush. I really like him. I think he looks like a top player.
It reminds me of that season when Alvarez and Haaland played together. And they just formed that nice little chemistry.
He's quicker than Alvarez, though.
Yeah, but it reminds me of it in terms of the partnership dynamic that starts to be created. He is quicker than Alvarez, and actually I think that'll make him a better FPL asset than Alvarez was.
Yeah.
But Alvarez was perfect in that season because it enabled you to either, and at that point we still had peak Haaland, so nobody was really going to go against him, but you could double up on the attackers and you could have Alvarez and Haaland alongside each other, and it was great, wasn't it? Like, we all really enjoyed that period of FPL. Now, what Marmoush might be, and I think I'm keeping my eyes on it very carefully.
Is he a forward or a midfielder? I'm sure I've asked you this before in the game. Pretty sure he's a forward, isn't he?
I think he's a forward, yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check it because I've not really looked at him.
I know he's 7 million, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a forward.
He, you can see him there at the top of the BPS as a forward.
Yeah.
He is, I think, going to offer an interesting... So if Cole Palmer in the next couple of weeks doesn't buck his ideas up, then suddenly everybody's going to have loads of money to go back to Haaland because you just go, I'll take Cole Palmer out, get a...
It'll be very interesting if Palmer doesn't do anything up until that blank, because you're going to keep him for that blank. It's just other things to do. But then
if you're
game week 30 wildcards, and he's not had a good few weeks, is he in the wildcard?
No.
And maybe Marmoush comes out. I don't know. Just saying.
But my point was going to be, you might then just fall back into the Haaland thing. But... Yeah. If
did his knee, didn't he, at the weekend? Got to look out on that.
We have to keep an eye on it. If Palmer does do something, if over the next 4 weeks Saka comes back, which at some point Saka will come back, then you might have to start looking at how you spend other bits of budget. But because Marmoush is like such a nice price point, he is becoming really important to the way that City play, which also means I'm less worried about the risk of rotation, which was always the issue we had with Alvarez, wasn't it? You always had that slight fear. Yeah. Then he became kind of integral to the way that they played. With Marmoush, I think the only thing for me is that right now, Isak, Wood and Matessa, I mean, I know Isak blanks this week, but I can't see beyond them as a front three, which makes them finding Haaland and Marmoush quite challenging.
Yeah, so Henry, thank you for the comment in the chat. He says, if Haaland doesn't play against Real, then we know it's serious. I think that's a fact.
Yeah, that's true. That's really good point. Because
it's such an important game for them, right?
Yeah.
Duncan's saying that Saka's not back for quite a few months, to be fair. So he's out for a bit. I thought
it was sooner than that, Duncan. I thought it was like 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, it's that, but then it's match fitness and everything else, isn't it? He's a pretty fit player, Saka, but I think for sure up until when we're thinking of wildcarding.
I think it's around wildcard time, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, which is another reason why I'm quite tempted by Ranieri.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
I think I can have him for the next few weeks, knowing that I can, once Saka's back, game week 30, 31 maybe, I can potentially
100%.
get him. So yeah, good win for Man City. Very impressed with that. Let's talk about your game then. Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. Yeah, I thought my opinion on it was I thought Spurs actually put a shift in. They grafted, they dug out a win here. And look, listen, neither side blew me away. It wasn't an amazing game of football. But Man United were really, really... I mean, Casemiro just needs to be put out to pasture, doesn't he? Absolutely awful. I was a bit... I didn't understand the kind of shape with Xerxes and with Højlund there as well, because Xerxes I think played wide, but was sort of drifting central, as you'd expect. That's probably potentially where he wants to be. Bruno looks a little bit leggy, and I didn't rate their performance at all. But take nothing away from Spurs, because yeah, listen, you can only beat what's in front of you, and you guys were fantastic. So what was your view?
I think that, let's start with United, because it was. From a Spurs perspective, it was the week, or from anyone's perspective, it was the week to play Man United, wasn't it? They've had a lot of problems this week. Obviously, they've lost Ahmad. He's not going to be back this season. That's awful for them. That is awful for them. They've obviously sent out a load of people on loan. They've let Rashford go. The rest of the team just looked disjointed. I felt like Amorim had the 11 that he started and did not trust anybody else that was on the bench to come on.
Well, it was all the kids, wasn't it? It's the academy graduates.
I understand that, Lee, but over the last... When your team is... Something had to change in that game. He had to do something, because they had about a 5 or 10 minute period early on in the second half where it was...
Spurs couldn't get out of their half, could they?
No, it was good attacks from Manchester United, but they had no finishing product. We kind of broke it, and then we were back attacking again, and I was like, okay, feel a bit more comfortable.
I think it sends the wrong message to the young players as well, to say, I don't trust you enough to come on and get
I'll bring you here because I've got to have you on the bench, but I don't trust you to go on the pitch.
Yeah.
And the problem is that at the end of the game, we made 5 subs. We made 5 subs because obviously we had players coming back from injury, so they didn't want to play. And rightly, Postecoglou managed their minutes well, I thought, and he brought players off the bench, and that was great. And managed everyone's game time so that no one was getting knackered. But at Manchester United, that didn't happen. So at the end of the game, we've made our subs, we've got more legs, they've got nothing. And I kind of feel like if you have to make 5 subs and bring on everybody, but try and change something. It's a bit of a worry, I think, moving forward. Like, if you've got United assets, I think they're a sell. Even though they play in game week 29, this is going to be the problem a lot of managers have, is if you've got United players...
Leicester at home in 29.
Yeah. You've got to keep for that.
Unless it's Ahmed, then you've got to sell, right?
If you've got Ahmed, then you've got to sell. But the performance today doesn't scream hold invest.
It blows my mind, and I've said this before, it blows my mind that team that you beat today, and I'm taking nothing away from Spurs, like I said, good performance, but it was so abject from United. It blows my mind that is largely a similar team that played against us a few weeks ago and nearly beat us. Not being funny, if Maguire scores that in the final kick of the game, we lose 3-2, and they probably would have deserved it, United, because they were brilliant on the day. So they can get up for that, but they can't get up for Spurs away. It just blows my mind.
Well,
they're just all such prima donnas, and the mentality is just completely wrong.
I think also, they had injuries today, didn't they? They also had an illness in the camp.
Don't give me that. You've had injuries as well. Like,
we've got loads of injuries.
I loved Ange Postecoglou's post-match comments. You see what he said? Like, I think the interviewer was just like, Amorim lost quite a lot of players today, and there was a lot of kids on the bench, and Andrew was just like, welcome to my world. Didn't see any sympathy cards on my table. I was just like, yeah, fair play.
Yeah, I think from a Spurs perspective, I was pleased. I was really pleased with the way that we played today. Not because it was brilliant. I've seen us play a lot better than that. But it was a job done performance. We defended well. We had the players that came back did a good job. Nobody got re-injured, thank the Lord. Vicario, I just thought was outstanding. Jed Spence, in my mind,
Jed Spence is great, by the way.
No wrong. I just don't think Jed Spence can do any wrong. He was great. He played fantastic. Ben Davies had a great game. He manages that defence. Low-key, Ben Davies has been one of our best players for about 10 years now. He never gets any credit for it, but he's brilliant.
Can I ask your opinion on Matthias Tell then? Because he was second for XG underachievers so far this week with a delta of 0.67. Also top for shots, joint top for shots, along with Raul Jimenez with 7. So involved, taking shots. I mean, what's that? 7 shots with a combined XG of 0.67. So what, 0.1 a shot? So they're not great chances, but I thought he was involved and he looked leggy at the end, but that's fine because he's 18. He's been asked to play 90 minutes. But the reason I'm kind of interested is because he's a midfielder in FPL, right? And he's pretty cheap.
6. I like him. The thing I like about him mostly is that where he's playing at the moment isn't really his best position. His best position is as a second striker. I was saying this to you, wasn't I, during the game? Like, playing alongside Solanke, I think is going to be perfect for him. Like, I think that might be a problem if you've got Brennan Johnson, although most people have sold him by now because he's been out injured. Because I then suspect what we'll see is Tell in behind Solanke, quite close to each other in first and second striker positions, with then Kulusevski out on one side and obviously Son, who apparently can never be dropped even if he's terrible, on the other side. So I've got a lot of time for him. I think it's really interesting to see how he's playing. I think the fact that he's confident enough to go out there, have shots, was getting frustrated and disappointed. I kind of love that as well. I like the fact that he's out there. He's got to settle into the game. He got a bit of a consolation goal in the FA Cup last weekend. That's his debut in the Premier League, and obviously then gets the goal.
Could be.
Doesn't get the goal, but I think, could have got something out of today's game. So
Spurs fixtures then: Ipswich away, City and Bournemouth at home, followed by Fulham away in 29. And then, we may or may not have any in our wild cards in 30 for those of us that are playing. So the fixtures don't scream investment, do they? It's particularly as that, like I say, that performance today was good. It was good, but you come up against a very, very poor United side. I don't know. I mean,
and the other thing about Spurs is I don't think there's any hurry to invest there. Obviously, it's Ipswich up next. I would hope that we would get something out of that. We have a very, very good record against Man City. So, would I fear Man City coming to us? No. No, I wouldn't have fear about that. Bournemouth, that. I'd have more concerns about the Bournemouth game, to be honest, than I would against that Man City game. It's Fulham in blank 29. We're better away from home, so Ipswich and Fulham away, maybe we get something, but it felt positive today. And so from an FPL perspective, I think it starts to put them back on the radar, not quickly, not as in like go tomorrow and buy a Spurs asset, but it just starts putting it back on the potential market watch list.
Okay, good. Keep talking while I get rid of the latest bot in here. So many bots in here tonight. Oh my God, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Delete.
We need Simon MB in, don't we? We need a moderator in to deal with these bots. Right, so Spurs 1, Manchester United 0. Good work rate from Spurs. Back-to-back wins, potentially on radar.
Should we have a little chat about the other side of North London? We'd sort of talked about Arsenal already.
Go for it, yeah. Leicester 0, Arsenal 2. No recognised striker for Arsenal. Well, certainly not that you would put in the striker bracket, but no problem because Merino up there, and 2 goals. And the first one in particular, a very nice header from a Wanyeri cross. So I have to say, up until that switch was made, and fair play to Arteta for making it, but it looked like Leicester were going to get something from this, right? They played their part in the game, no doubt.
For sure, and it wasn't working with Sterling up there. So
not at all.
It wasn't working. So what's really going to be interesting now is from an Arsenal perspective, what happens next? So we both of us had the Arsenal double defence, which has gone well.
Yeah.
And I think
did you have, Ryan and Timber?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's obviously gone well. I'm very happy about that. But I think we said to each other, didn't we, on Saturday morning, just before this game kicked off, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Arsenal go back to 1-0 to the Arsenal that we always used to talk about in the past, because they don't really have the forward players at the moment. There's a lot of injuries and concerns. Obviously they've lost both Havertz and Gabby Jesus. Saka's still out. Martinelli's out. They've obviously lost Smith Rowe and Nketiah as well, who potentially would have come in if they were still at Arsenal. So all of that stuff has kind of gone up in the air. So it's meant that they've basically just been left with Nwaneri, Trossard and Sterling. And I was just a bit like...
Ranieri can't play 9 though, I don't think. He's
no, I don't. He can't play 9.
And Trossard,
but that's their front three. Those three are their front three.
I see what you mean, yeah.
So Trossard and Nwaneri are going to go out on the wing, which basically leaves Sterling in the middle. And I was thinking, Sterling just doesn't strike me as being in a frame of mindset.
Well, he's not even like a Kai Havertz kind of player,
no.
Is he? Whereas at least Moreno has got some stature about him. Yeah. I know that's a really non-statty eye test thing to say. But even I saw, like, in the build-up to the game, they were talking about, I think somebody asked whether Calafiori could play up there. And Arteta was just like, well, it's an option.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that tells you a lot about the way that Arteta sets that team up. They need a Kai-style player there.
Somebody
and
asked about
just not
Zinchenko
it.
as well.
Just not it.
Can we put Zinchenko up there? Now, all of this stuff I think is interesting, though, from an FPL perspective, isn't it? Because if Moreno...
Oh, yeah, not off.
If Moreno starts in... I don't think you're doing it now. I mean, you'd have to be brave to do it now.
Well, let's have a look at the fixtures. So Arsenal's fixtures, where are they? They are right here. West Ham at home next. Forest away. Man United away. And then they do have a game in 29. Chelsea at home. And then Fulham, Everton, Brentford. So therein lies one of the reasons I'm looking to invest in my case, probably in Nwaneri. Yeah. Because I want to get rid of Enzo. West Ham at home next. Man United on the horizon.
Well, look, Nwaneri, I think you want to go Nwaneri this week. I've got no issues with that. That's something I'm thinking about doing. Rodgers to Nwaneri feels like that's a very sensible thing to do. It gives me a player that plays in 29. I don't have to play him every week if I don't want to. Fine. I think if you wanted to go Moreno, that's a bit more rogue. Because 1, we don't know if he's going to start. 2, we don't know where he'd start. All of that stuff's a bit more up for debate. But if we see Moreno start in the number 9 against West Ham... and score again, then you could probably go there.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But Nwaneri, definitely. I mean, that is the sort of performance at the weekend there that he can't take him out of the team, I don't think. I don't think
he couldn't even if he wanted to. He's got no one else.
Such a good performance. And at 4.5 in FPL, just mad not to have him, I think, particularly as I've got Enzo sitting there. Enzo going down tonight and Nwaneri going up, by the way, tonight.
You're doing it tonight, then?
Well, I'm going to do it. It is tonight, isn't it? I've got 2 free transfers, but we'll talk about that more on that a bit later on. Liverpool 2, Wolves 1. So no Gakpo for us Gakpo owners in this game. He picked up a bit of a knock, didn't he, in the last time out. So
any news about whether we're expecting him to play in the second game?
Well, the only thing that I've seen is that in the pre-match press conference for the Wolves game, for this game, Slot was asked about players that were not available, and he went, "Oh yeah, well this player, that player, this player." And then the person interviewing him was about to move on to the next thing, and then he went, "Oh yeah, and Cody, we've got to check Cody." So it wasn't like forefront of his mind that Gakpo is like super injured, but maybe just didn't pass a late fitness test or something for this game. So I don't think it's a big deal. Do I expect him back for the Villa game? I do. Yes, I do.
Some minutes, probably.
Some minutes, yeah, some minutes. We'll see. I can't say that for sure, right? I can't say that for sure. And I've already seen some of you guys in the chat that have got Gakpo, but would first sub. I just like hoping Gakpo doesn't play. But it was Mr. Diaz that come to the table today. Now we could have had another penalty. Jota, I think it was right that VAR overturned that second penalty, so that Salah didn't get the second penalty. Didn't think it was a pen. Did at the time. I was up screaming, but of course, then you see it again.
You see it again, yeah.
And then Salah has one ruled out for marginal offside, doesn't he? So on another day, Salah gets another hat trick. But it was the Diaz owners, and when I had a look at your team when I was preparing to do the slides for tonight, looking at the effective ownership of Diaz around you, 7.5%. Properly good differential to get a 13-pointer. So he is the reason, mainly one of the big reasons you're having a great week. So Yeah, happy days, Luis Diaz. Glad you stuck with him.
Yeah, it was one of those where he has been, I'll be honest, a real frustration. What was it you were saying about goals at home for Luis Diaz? He hasn't scored one in like, how many matches?
Ages,
5 or something, home matches or something ridiculous, you said.
No, longer than that, even October, September.
I can't remember what you were saying, but it was a long time, wasn't it? And he has been a real bone of contention for me, and I've kind of been backwards and forwards. And I think had it not been for the double game weeks, I'd have sold Luis Diaz weeks ago. Weeks ago.
Did you even consider selling him this week so you could get slot?
No,
okay.
No, I didn't, because there were two reasons why I didn't. One was because I just don't think you can sell a double game week player.
No, hence why I think we've all stuck with Gakpo.
I just don't think you can, unless they're 100% ruled out.
Yeah.
Then I think it's different. But also, the Gakpo thing made me go, well, if he's going to play Diaz, Jota, and Salah, then I want Diaz.
You know what you get from Jota?
Because
benefits the other two.
Because Jota being there makes Luis Diaz better. So in my head, I was like, okay, well, if Jota's going to play because Gakpo's not there, because I don't think he wants to play Darwin, this is where my head was.
Oh man, he was bad again when he came on.
Well,
Darwin.
yeah, so in my head I was thinking, well, I can't see that he's going to play Darwin Núñez. So if he's not going to play Darwin and Gakpo doesn't make it, then it's the front three of dreams. If it's the front three of dreams, then Luis Diaz, I want you 100% in my team. And then immediately he goes, now, all right, they're probably going mad in the Slack going, well, it was lucky because he was, the goal was a bit weird. I don't care if it comes in off the back of his head.
He needed one to go in off his chest. Yeah.
Wherever it can come off, it's fine. It's made a big difference to my rank, and
absolutely.
I still think I'll probably sell him.
Oof, okay.
But I will just wait, because the thing is, if Cody is back, I think it will be detrimental to Diaz again.
All right, well, Liverpool's fixtures obviously is the big one at the Etihad after obviously the Villa game. We've got game week 25 still, to one more game to go. But then a trip to the Etihad next weekend, then home to Newcastle before, thankfully and mercifully, the fixture scheduling gets a little bit better with Southampton at home. Then we obviously blank in 29 because of the cup final. Then
it's not a rest, though.
Then it's another Merseyside derby in 30. So, oh man, the schedule. I must admit, when I looked before the Goodison game, before the Merseyside derby, I thought Everton away in the last Goodison derby, Wolves at home, Etihad, trip to Newcastle, Villa Park. God, what a schedule! I think if we can come out of that Newcastle game, and I mean the Premier League game, and we've not dropped too many points, we've still got that sort of like 5 to 7 point buffer, I think we're in really good shape to win the league. Really good shape to win the league. But this next couple of weeks is huge, and that's why today I was so stressed about today, and why I was you saw me at full time, right? I was just like, that's huge, absolutely huge, because if we hadn't got the points today and we maybe dropped, okay, well, that's drop points against Everton, drop points against Wolves, going to the Etihad next, Villa Park. Okay, is it derailing for Liverpool? Whereas 2-1, all right, we were not at all convincing.
No.
And I said to you a number of times that we'll go 2-0 up, we might even go 3-0 up, and we'll sleepwalk into a goal.
You did say that, yeah.
And it's exactly what happened now for us Trent owners. We take that 6 points and we run for the hills, folks. We run for the hills because that's probably one of Trent's worst games I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
He gets a 6-pointer because he goes off, and then we concede a couple of minutes later because we sleepwalk into a goal. Crazy. And I say sleepwalk into a goal. I'm doing
Wolves.
Cunha in particular, a bit of a disservice because, oh my God, I want this guy at my club. Listen to this in terms of fixtures coming up, including a fixture in 29, Sam. You've got Bournemouth away next for Cunha. Then Fulham at home, Everton at home, Southampton away in 29. That's key. West Ham at home in 30, Ipswich in 31, Spurs in 32. Is he back on radar now, Cunha?
Well, I go back to my front three issue. Isak, Mateta, Wood.
Who do you have? Where do you put him?
On earth am I putting Cunha? Who goes? Because, all right, I could sell. So the transfer that I'll probably make for 29 will be to go Mateta to Cunha.
Yeah.
Because Mateta doesn't play in 29. But then on wildcard, what do I do? Because Mateta has been dreamy. He has been wonderful.
He took that goal so well today. Okay, Gravenberch, not the best defending I've seen from him in his life, but to beat Ali from there is going some. And it's a hell of a strike.
And the thing I love about investing in Wolves, particularly and probably only in Cunha, is, well, there's two things. The first thing is that personally, he wants to put himself in a window, I'm pretty sure, for the summer. And secondly, Wolves are in the danger zone. They sit just above the relegation zone, and they really need the points. And they have the fixtures to get out of it in a way that I'm not sure everyone else does at the bottom. And if they can string a bunch of wins together, and with somebody like Cunha, they can.
Yeah.
I honestly think he could score a lot of goals in the next few weeks. But for me, it's not this week against Bournemouth.
Probably
not.
But
after that game, that's when I'll be looking, and that's when I'll be thinking about Cunha. I think it's probably going to be game week 29, and then I'm just going to have to worry about it on wildcard as to who goes.
So I think with your front three, it is difficult because you want Mateta, Wood and Isak. If you've got a Gakpo, who goes to the Etihad and then Newcastle, all right, Southampton in 28, understand that. But then a blank in 29.
Gakpo to Cunha, I think.
Gakpo to Cunha sound all right to you?
Yeah. If you've still got Havertz or Jackson, if you didn't get rid of one of them straight away, I think that helped.
Yeah, in the top five.
João Pedro.
In the top five for touches in the opponent's half, Cunha, which at Anfield is no mean feat, I have to tell you. And he was 8th overall across the whole game week for underlying BPS with 38. Same as Edison, interestingly. So Matthias Cunha,
same as Edison.
Don't know why I added that, but assist from another goalkeeper.
Isn't that the most Premier League assists ever by a goalkeeper?
It is, 6, I think. Yeah, brilliant from Edison. So Matthias Cunha, definitely back on radar. With those fixtures and the Southampton game in 29, without a doubt on radar. Let's move on, Sam. Rattle through the rest of these games. Talk about your man Mateta then. Crystal Palace 1, Everton 2. So in the end, Everton, I think worthy winners in this game. But Mateta popped up with a goal and a bonus point in a 2-1 defeat. So you've got to be happy with
that. Yeah. I was surprised by this though, because I moved the managership away from Moyes, who then got his win.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this win, I'll be honest. I thought that Crystal Palace would have more than they did. Mateta, I was enjoying this game when Az and Yels were here because they obviously had Pickford.
They had Pickford.
And so
I had Munoz and you had Mateta.
I was the winner. And in that game, though, Mateta actually was unlucky not to get more than he did. Like, he got one goal, but there was another moment where he really should have got another one.
The first Everton goal is, I could not believe it. Like, as a Munoz owner,
it's so bad defensively.
What are Mitchell and Lerma doing there with the throw-in? Lerma, looks away from the ball. I couldn't believe it, honestly. The way that Munoz clean sheet got wiped out was a disgrace from Palace. And they deserve to lose, right?
Yeah. And I think, from a Mateta perspective, though, I was obviously delighted. Gets the goal, gets a couple of bonus points, lovely stuff. But I did feel a little bit like, could have had a bit more there.
But he's good because, look, Fulham, Aston Villa and Ipswich. So Fulham away, Villa at home, Ipswich at home, and then a blank. So no one's getting him. No one's getting him, as we said before, because they're looking at 29 going, well, I've already said it. I'd rather go for Cunha, and I would. But you're going to sit there for the next 3 weeks, as you have done for the last 3 weeks, just killing it with the Mateta points. And I'm jealous because he's doing so well and he's so good. Whether we have him in 30 on the wild card against Southampton, then Brighton, then a double game week, probably.
I don't think you cannot. But that's my problem with Cunha, you see, because if I go to Cunha in 29 for that one, I will want to go back to Mateta because he's got the double game week.
Yeah.
And a nice bunch of fixtures where I think he could do well.
Everton, though, for their part, I'm going to go back to the fixtures, actually.
What?
Everton.
Yeah, but the trouble... Okay. The problem I have with Everton is that I don't know where I would invest, honestly. Like, I know that people have got...
Beto is very cheap,
Yeah, but, okay, where's he going?
Okay, I know, we all know about your front three. It's very, very good.
But I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny, but if you've got a space in your front three, you're not going Beto over Cunha.
No, or Mateta.
You're just not. So
even with the blank, you'd still have Mateta, I think.
I think you would. And I know that a lot of people did the Raya to Pickford thing for the double game week. And, okay, in the double game week that pays off, but this week it doesn't. And moving forward, I'm not sure it will either because Everton they're not keeping regularly the clean sheets.
He's doing a great job there, though.
He's doing a fantastic job.
To come back in and get them cooking in the way that he has, with some injuries as well, like Lost Ndiaye, Calvert-Lewin's out, McNeil as well.
Who was quality at the beginning of the season.
He's done a great job. I hate to say it, but
he's
done great.
Then Ndiaye as well now. So now I'm like looking at it though, and I don't know how... Moyes has done a fantastic job. Yes, 100%.
But you don't know where to go.
Everton doing well. Yes, absolutely. I don't think there's anyone for an FPL perspective, though.
All right, well, third overall for shots in the game week was Alcaraz from Everton, so maybe, and he was fourth overall amongst all players this game week for the underlying BPS with 49, just a few more than Moreno. I'm with you. I'm probably not going to invest because I think there's better options elsewhere, but just a shout out for Moyes and Everton because they're doing a good job there. He's doing a very good job. One or two more games. Sam, Fulham 2, Chris Wood 1. What do we make of this? Did Forest get figured out, or was it just a good performance from Fulham? I thought Fulham were very good. I thought Traore was really good.
But Fulham are good. Like,
Fulham
totally.
Are good. This is a sort of game where they can slip up. Yeah. What I will say about Wood though, and I think this is why Az was so aggy about it. You know, 1 shot, 1 goal Wood, 3 bonus points in a 2-1 defeat. I mean, what is going on there? How does he get the 3 baps?
Well, because he's not wasteful. He's clinical. He's not having shots off target. He's not losing the ball. So, and that's the thing, isn't it? In a game that like this, he will rack up the bonus points because actually, from an underlying BPS perspective, he's brilliant.
In contrast, Raul Jimenez and fourth for XG underachievers with a delta of 0.51, 7 shots in the game week, joint first with Tell from Spurs. Only 1 assist. So yeah, wasteful.
So you're not going to get
therefore not in the bonus. Whereas Chris Wood, clinical.
If you don't have Chris Wood, just for God's sake, as if you're watching, just get Chris Wood.
Did you get him now though? I feel like this is Groundhog Day. Would you get him now?
Yes.
Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, Ipswich.
What?
I still would.
What's in those fixtures that makes you think that Chris Wood won't just get 1 touch goal?
Still would. He's just stupid, isn't he? It's just stupid.
Just have to have him. He's just ridiculous.
All those weeks I didn't have him, just getting upset. Like now, at least when he scores, I don't like having him in my team, right? I'd rather have Mateta. I'd rather have Cunha. I'd rather have a player that gets involved and creates some sexy goals. But Chris Wood just brings in the sexy points. So what can you say?
Can we stop referring to Wood and sexy in the same? That's going to get memed everywhere.
Move it on. What else? Last one. Southampton 1, Bournemouth 3. Points kind of spread around. 1 for Dango, a goal for Dango, and just an assist for new dad Kluivert, and just an assist for Semenyo. It was Christie actually got the points
Semenyo
here
should
in
have
this
had a
one.
goal, shouldn't he?
He absolutely should, yeah. So I think the way I feel about this game, not knowing or not owning any Bournemouth players, is I feel like I've dodged one here. Because they're going to wait to Southampton. They've won 3-1. That could easily have been like a couple of goals from Kluivert or a couple from Dango. But in the end, they've shared the points and no one's got Ryan Christie. So it's not putting me off Bournemouth, put it that way.
No, but I'm annoyed. What a stupid consolation goal is that? Like, come on.
Oh, because you got Howson. Yeah.
It's just a stupid consolation goal. Comes from nothing. They basically don't have any attack. The whole game is pointless and it's just peed me off. So Bournemouth, thanks for nothing.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, their fixtures continue to be good,
Yeah,
and they play Brentford at home in 29. So again, yes, you can target your Wolves and your Cunhas, but do not overlook Bournemouth because they play each other next week. Wolves versus Bournemouth, and I have to say, will I have a Bournemouth player in my team?
Well, you're going to go on Ranieri, no? Because you've got to get rid of Enzo.
Yeah. Although if I take some money, I could take some money out. I've got 2 free transfers.
Who's Arsenal got?
Arsenal. They've got West Ham at home. Nice fixture,
just
innit?
Get Ranieri.
Nice fixture, innit?
You can get both, though.
Good differential.
You could get Enzo and you could get
Ivor. All right, we'll talk about teams in just a second. Before we do, I want to give a shout out to our patron community. Many of them are in this evening. George is in. We've got Adam. We've got
Duncan's in.
Duncan and Joseph and a whole bunch of you guys in. So thank you as always for your support, guys. Patreon.com/FPLFamily is where you can go, folks, if you want a little bit more of Sam and I in your lives. If you want some bonus Ohana podcasts, I've just noticed that the graphics got Rashford at Manchester United. That needs to change.
Oh yeah.
And if you want bonus Ohana podcasts every week, if you want one-to-one Zoom calls with us about your team, if you're thinking of playing chips, if you want access to our Slack community, if you want to take part in our Manager of the Month competition, where the top 3 managers every month win a football shirt of their choice, and the top manager will also win $100 worth of Amazon vouchers as well. All of that stuff is at patreon.com/FPL Family. And we have to say thank you to our friends at Sleeper for sponsoring our Manager of the Month competition, because we can't give away all this good stuff. 3 shirts and $100 a month. couldn't do that, could we? Without the help of the guys at Sleeper. So at Sleeper Footy is where you can find them on Twitter and their app, and you can play PickEm and all sorts. You can get involved with draft leagues. Go and search on your favourite app store, if it's the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store, for Sleeper Footy, and you will find their app over there. So patreon.com/FPLFamily, sponsored by our friends at Sleeper.
Did you know, Lee, that I won the Sleeper Pick'ems for UCL last week?
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, fair play. Do you win anything?
I don't know. Probably not. We work with them.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not allowed to. But
Pat on the back?
I was so pleased. I got 7 out of 8 games correct in the first round of the Champions League.
Of Champions League?
Yeah.
What do you know about Champions League?
Everything, apparently.
Oh, to God. All right.
I don't know.
All right, well, let's get on to our team, Sam. Here is me. Here is my damage limitation team.
That's all right.
Yeah, listen.
Tiny Reds.
It's fine. It's honestly fine. So I'm down 3%. So game week score of 54 so far. I've got Trent and Salakap and Gakpo, hopefully still to play, and Rodgers too. So I've got 4 still to play. Just to read my team out for the podcast, was Raya in goal with 7, was actually a pretty nice differential.
Very nice,
About 13-14% EO, so pleased when that stuck. Doubly pleased because I had Gabriel as well. Munoz coming in with the 1, which is a bit disappointing. Trent with the 6. Salakap currently on 14. Palmer and Buemo. And Buemo blank was a bit of a sting in the tail. I had 2 blanks from him now after I've brought him back in. I need something from you, Brian. Rodgers in with the 2. Gakpo obviously with the 0. Chris Wood in with the 9, Isak with the 2. So it's a bit of a meh week. But, as I said before, game week 24, game week 25, game week 26, we are in damage limitation mode. I want to stay in the top 500,000. I want to then consolidate, and then I'm going to go on a rampage from game week 30. Absolute FPL rampage. It's going to be chips galore from game week 30.
Yeah, but you hate this stuff. I
hate it. Yeah, you're right.
You love a boring 10-game week, 10-match game week. You don't like planning for the chips. Like you like to just go, here I go.
Yeah. 10 fixtures per game week is great. So all this double game week, assistant manager, it's just not my thing. But anyway, here we are. We're on 321. Unless Gakpo turns up against Villa, it's unlikely to get any better, right? Because there's a few Salah triple caps out this week. He's on about 204 EO. So obviously delighted that he gets the goal. Obviously gets the pen. But from an FPL perspective, it was hurting. So Trent the 6, listen, we just got to take that and run. That's just jammy. So the team is in all right shape. I didn't make any moves this week. I didn't make any moves mainly because this isn't really going to sound awful coming from an FPL content creator. But I was away with work, right? I was so busy, I didn't have time to look at FPL. So I kind of got to the weekend and I was like, right, what am I doing? Don't know. And I considered Enzo to Nwaneri, as you know. I was thinking about doing that.
I told you to do it.
Wish I'd done it, obviously, but I just hadn't put enough thought into it. So I rolled the transfer. So I'm going into 25 with 2 transfers. That might still be the transfer. I might still do Enzo to Nwaneri, and I might do it tonight because of the 0.2 price difference. I then also want to look at my Newcastle asset. I mean, Isak's going to stay, but Hall needs to go, probably. Maybe a Liverpool player needs to go. Munoz I probably need to deal with before 29. These are the sorts of things I've got to sort out before game week 29. But yeah, anyway, 54 points. A small red arrow. It's likely to be, probably the same, if not, if Gakpo scores maybe during the week, it might be a little bit better, but not great, but it's fine. You, on the other hand, so that's me on 1,600.
If Gakpo doesn't play, who comes on?
Robinson with a 2 points.
So you do want Gakpo.
Yeah, no big deal. So 1,633 points. Overall rank at 321k. With 1,634 points, so 1 point ahead of me now, Sam, with a game week score, get this folks, of 76, including the 4 for Emery, jumping your rank 37 points, 37% points up to 313. Sam from FPL Family, talk us through this game week. This is a Luis Diaz inspired green arrow, no?
Yeah, game week rank of 110k. Ooh. It's like, what is happening?
Probably one of your best, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up there. It's definitely up there. I'm on for a 100-point club again this week, which is going to be lovely if I can do it again. I must admit, this is. I don't know if I've told you this, but when I was talking, I think I told the patrons on the Ohana, and I definitely said it on the pod, but Kelly and I were talking when the Liverpool Merseyside derby was on via text, because I was setting up the pod for the next day, and she said to me, we were talking about Slotton versus Moyes, and I said, genuinely, this is season defining. If Moyes doesn't do anything here, my season's done. It's going to peter out because I've used my chips. I've got nothing really to boost me at this point without this. The Moyes thing helped massively.
The Taco goal.
It was game changing because it boosted my rank up hugely. Like I think I got about 100k swing from that result. The Luis Diaz stuff today.
13 pointer from Diaz on a 7% differential.
Yeah.
That is tasty.
Yeah, so around my rank, he's 7% EO, which is obviously just like wonderful. Same with Matessa. Like he's at 30, he's at 10%. He's at 10% EO around my rank, so he was helpful. The Arsenal double up, helpful.
You're even a bit unlucky with the Huyson clean sheets you said before, right?
I was unlucky.
If that start, bloody hell, you'd be on 80.
So I was annoyed about the Huyson thing because they literally had nothing. The whole game, Southampton, is just a stupid goal. Very annoying. Obviously, Salah is slightly hurting every time he does something, but nonetheless, it's fine. So 76.
Nice, what a game week.
It's going well. I've got Luis Diaz, Salah, Trent, Rodgers, and Emery to play again.
Nice.
So them 5 hopefully are going to bring some points for the end of this game week, and then my decision is going to have to be, what do I do next?
I was going to say, what you're thinking, because it sounds like I'm quite straightforward with my Enzo to Wanyeri. I think that's going to happen. But what about you?
Well, so I got big calls to make. So do I just accept sticking with Emery? No table bonus, but it is against Chelsea, and Chelsea are a bit meh at the moment.
Yeah.
So could I just go, all right, I won't get table bonus out of Emery for Chelsea, but do I just stick there anyway, hope for a win and some goals?
I think you've got to gamble that and go for a table bonus manager, haven't you? Got to.
That's the other flip of it, is that I go, okay.
Roll the dice.
Roll the dice once more, move it again. But if I do that, that means I either can't change my team because I've only got one transfer, or I have to take a -4 to change the team.
Yeah.
Now, if I do the Emery thing, that takes away my transfer going into game week 26. So I'd have transfers going into 27, 28, 29, and I've got to deal with Rodgers, Luis Diaz and Trent. So that would mean I could do it because I could bench Isak, Matessa and
Salah.
Yeah. Or vice versa. So I could leave 3 of them on the bench not playing in 29 and deal with the others. So it is doable for me to not need a -4. And actually, when I look at my team, I've just got to change screens on my phone. When I look at my team for next... No, not in the transfers window, in this one. When I look at my team for next week, I quite like it. Yeah. There's a lot of home fixtures in there, which I don't mind at all. The only thing I don't particularly love is all of the Liverpool assets against Man City. So could I change that? Like, could I do a -4 to move Luis Diaz to Wanyeri or someone else?
Could happen, couldn't it? Diaz could get you 20 points this week and you could say goodbye to him. As mad as that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could easily happen. Because I don't think Rodgers is a priority sell ahead of Chelsea, but I could de-invest in one of the Liverpool assets, but it would then be a -4 if I choose to do the table. And this is why this week I think is going to be quite important for me. I need to think...
We need to follow this one up with something good, right?
I need to see what happens with Emery on Wednesday evening. If there was to be an upset on Wednesday evening and Emery pulls some table bonus out of the bag, either for a win or a draw, I might be more inclined to just stick, because at that point I'd have 40 plus points out of the assistant manager chip.
Would you say thanks very much?
And I might just go, I'll stick with you then, because I'll be at, if they beat Chelsea, which I would think that they've got a good chance of, I'll be at mid-40s, and I'd be able to use the transfer on my players rather than on him, and I wouldn't have to take a -4. Or, so I think I'll have to see what happens at the middle of the week, and then I'll make the call. But ideally, what I'd like to do is make one player transfer next week. But I think the manager thing might come off as well.
God, if all you Moyes and Emery assistant manager chip owners get table bonus in the 2 games against Liverpool by targeting us, God, I'll be fuming.
The good news
is
is that because Man City won, you can't target Liverpool again for table bonus in game week 26 because Pep's not 5 places behind.
Oh, I see.
Which he would have been if he'd have lost.
You can't target us again.
I'll be looking at... and I'm not targeting Spurs by going for Ipswich. Absolutely not. So this is the other thing, is I don't love the table bonus for anyone, really. It's like Potter against Arsenal, Van Nistelrooy against whoever Leicester have got. I'm not thrilled about the people that get table bonus this week.
Have a look at the fixtures again for 26 then. So... I'm pretty sure Glasner are at Fulham.
Hang on, let me have a look.
Who
have Fulham got?
Well, Fulham have got Crystal Palace.
Let me look.
At home. I mean, it's not easy for Palace. I'm not saying it is.
Where are Fulham? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. Yeah. It does
so I'm not saying it's easy for Palace, but then that's the whole point of the table bonus gamble, isn't it? Is that it's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah, well, it's go Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton. Don't really want any of them. Wolves against Bournemouth. Don't really want that.
Who are you guys going for? Let us know, guys, in the chat if you've got assistant manager active still for 26, or even if you haven't. Where do you fancy the upset to be in game week 26? I don't mind Palace at Fulham. I think that's got potential. It's got potential because on their day, Palace, that could be
The trouble is, I think if you're going to take a -4 for this manager, you have to be fairly confident that they're going to get the table bonus. But I wouldn't also be that confident that Fulham wouldn't beat Palace and then he gets nothing. And then I've taken a -4 for nothing.
That's the dice though, isn't it? That's the rolling. That's what table bonus is all about. It's not locked in by any stretch of imagination. That's the whole point of it.
But the point I'm making is that you take a -4 for a player, they can get a goal or a clean sheet or an assist. Whereas with the assistant managership, you take a -4 for the manager and they don't get... they've got to get at least, because even a draw's not enough.
Yeah. Some of the guys are saying Ruud van Nistelrooy, Leicester have got Brentford, so at home.
That's one option.
One to have a look at, maybe. What else? So Tashan is saying Glasner. George is saying was going to go for Potter.
Yeah, but that's Arsenal, George.
Got West Ham at Arsenal. You're going to go for Potter there, are you?
See, I think I'd rather have Emery at Chelsea than Potter at Arsenal. I think Emery's going to get something, I would have thought, whereas Potter could get nothing apart from a smashing.
Emery at Chelsea wouldn't be table bonus though, but you wouldn't have to spend a transfer. At least you'd be
there'd be no transfer, and if he gets the win, it's 6 points plus any goals.
Maybe
in my head, that's the thing I think you have to think about. Is it's not like a player. Like if you take a -4 to bring in, I don't know, whoever, then if they get a goal, a clean sheet, whatever, they rack up the points. But with the manager, it's literally just on what's the result, win or draw.
And if your best options are Glasner at Fulham, difficult.
Could easily get nothing.
Or Van Nistelrooy at home to Brentford.
Could easily get nothing.
That's two quite big gambles against the team where you could not do a transfer and expect the Emery win.
This week was different. There was a lot of managers this week that you could gamble on with single game weeks. One of them was Hertzler. You definitely could have taken gambles this week. But next week, there's not so many possible options. Difficult.
Well, there we go. That is that's the nature of this mini game, this assistant manager mini game that we're playing. It's obviously has an effect on your team and what you're doing because of, like you're saying, if you stick with Emery, you then haven't got to spend a transfer. That's a transfer you can spend on your team and not have to worry about the mini game. So,
and it's not like spending a transfer sets your team up for the next 5 weeks that it does with a player.
It's definitely got people talking this chip. I have to say, I'm still not a fan of it. Maybe I will be when I play it. Like I said at the top of the pod, I'm still not a fan of it. And if they do keep it for next year, I think it's got to be 1 or maximum 2 weeks. I just don't like this 3 weeks thing. I just think it's far too long. But it is getting the community talking. No doubt about it. It's getting us all talking. We've spent ages talking about it here. And I'm sure next week, once we see the outcome of game week 26, we'll be talking about it some more, right? What's coming up next week?
Busy week. Very, very busy week
Always.
This week. So I am subbing in for FPL Harry, who I believe's gone skiing on this week's...
Why did you say it like that?
Well, it's all right for Sam, innit? Gone skiing.
Yeah?
I wish I was skiing.
Well, he should cancel his holiday, FPL Harry, so that he can do the pod. Come on, Harry, where are your priorities?
I'm just saying, you've let your partner down. Good job I'm here. Oscar and I, FPL Focal and I, will be off the benching tomorrow.
Okay,
I've had a great game week. Spurs have won. Everything's good. So, I don't mind subbing in for you, Harry, but I am quite jealous of you being on the ski slopes this week. You will be on the Sky Fantasy podcast on Tuesday this week.
I'm on with Mr. Briggs on Tuesday. Yes, look out for that one.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. And then Kelly and Ian and I...
Ooh, okay.
Will be...
Where's Mr. Laurent?
also swanning off on his holidays.
Also on a bloody holiday.
During an in-person podcast that he's had in the diary,
please.
Mr. Laurent, for over a month. And he's forgotten about it and gone to Marrakesh. So
wow, nice trip there.
Yeah, I know.
Marrakesh,
we were quite
beautiful.
jealous when he was talking about that on the podcast. So
all these people having swanning holidays. Come on.
Tell me about it. When are we going on holiday? Oh, that's right, in a few weeks' time.
True, yeah.
But we are timing ours during when? The international break.
Well, that is what you call commitment,
because that's what
right?
committed people do.
That's what. Listen, take note, FPL Harry. I know that you've taken a microphone with you on your ski trip, but still, can you please plan your holidays for when it's international breaks?
Just to give Harry a little bit of less stick here.
What?
I mean, it is because his missus is a teacher, so he has to go in the school holidays.
I don't think you can use that as a... Well,
it's quite a big excuse. But anyway, so Jules, no, he won't be there. So Kelly, Ian and I will be in the studio together on Wednesday doing an in-person recording in London.
Awesome.
Max and Evie are coming along for the ride as well. They're going to live the dream.
I've had Ian on a pod for a while, actually. Is he having a good FPL season or not? Is he?
Yeah, he's above Kelly and Jules in our mini-league.
Okay.
He's chasing me down.
Spurs beat United today, so you don't have to suffer that.
Good job that Spurs...
Yeah, very good.
Never mind me suffering that. He'd be the one suffering that. So we'll be doing an in-person pod on Wednesday ahead of the Aston Villa and Liverpool game on Wednesday night. So we won't have finalised the game week, but nonetheless, it's the only day we could get a studio. So that's happening on Wednesday. Thursday, we will be together again for Ohana Lee. We will be back together to record Ohana for our patrons.
Although it sounds like your solo Ohanas have gone down quite well. People are loving them.
Well, I don't think they did. I think they're being kind. I think they're much better when we're together.
Don't know about that. Don't know about that, but we'll take it.
I think they're much better when we're together. So yeah, it's going to be a very busy week, but it should be a very good one.
As usual. Well, there we go, guys. That is the pod. That is the video for this week. So leave us a like. Hit that subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on FPL Family. We'll be back as usual, same time next Sunday when we'll be discussing the outcome of Game Week 26. We'll know a little bit more about how Liverpool got on and the final scores of Game Week 25. Obviously, I'll be doing Manager of the Month updates for our patrons. I'll be doing Sleeper updates once that game is out of the way and the game week has concluded. But next Sunday, we'll be looking back at Game Week 26, or at least what has happened at the weekend, and we'll know how the Assistant Manager chip will have fared in round 3, chapter 3 of the Assistant Manager chip. So, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.
Bye, everyone.